The headlines scream, channel crisis deepens, record numbers cross in small boats, images repeat, overloaded dinghies on gray waters, faces marked by fear and hope. Men, women and children, wrapped in blankets, are helped ashore by border officials. They've survived a dangerous journey to the UK, but their struggle is far from over. This dramatic arrival captures public attention and fuels political debate, but it's only the final leg of a much longer odyssey. People flee war, persecution, and poverty from countries like Afghanistan, Syria, Eritrea, and Iran. They cross deserts and seas, risking everything in search of safety. The small boats are a symptom of global instability. When they land, they are not illegal immigrants. They are asylum seekers, exercising a right protected by international law. Their claims must be heard, but the system they enter is overwhelmed. Arrivals have increased, but government decision-making is slowed, creating a huge backlog. Tens of thousands wait, sometimes for years, unable to work or choose where they live. They are placed in limbo, entirely dependent on the state. For many, this limbo is a hotel room. Budget hotels, seaside guest houses, or country houses now serve as holding pens. These are not holiday destinations, but waiting rooms scattered across the country. The use of hotels was meant to be temporary, but it's become a defining feature of the UK's asylum system. It's a costly, controversial, and deeply flawed answer to a complex human problem. The visible crisis is just the tip of a much deeper issue. Behind every headline is a person, waiting for a future that remains uncertain. The question is, how did we get here, and what can be done to fix it? Why are thousands of asylum seekers living in hotels? The answer: the system is broken. The UK once housed asylum seekers in council homes and flats, dispersal accommodation, allowing some stability and community integration. But rising numbers and slower home office decisions have created a bottleneck. Traditional housing is full, new arrivals have nowhere to go. The government turned to hotels as an emergency fix. What began as a short-term measure has become a long-term reality, with entire hotels block-booked and taken out of the tourist trade. The backlog keeps growing, and so does the use of hotels. This crisis response has hardened into a multi-billion-pound industry. Asylum seekers are housed in places never meant for long-term living. No kitchens, families crammed into single rooms, isolated from communities. It's not a life, just an existence on hold. The use of hotels is a clear sign of a system that failed to plan, adapt, or process claims efficiently. The result: a costly, inefficient, and isolating solution. The government's inability to keep up has left thousands in limbo. The question remains, who benefits from this system, and at what cost? The answer lies in the contracts behind the scenes. Let's take a closer look. Where there's a government crisis, private companies often step in, for a price. The UK's asylum accommodation is dominated by Serco, G4S, and Clear Springs Ready Homes. These firms hold massive, secretive contracts to house asylum seekers, worth billions. As hotel use exploded, so did their profits. The details of these deals are hidden from public scrutiny, making it hard to track how taxpayer money is spent. Serco and G4S are global outsourcing giants, running everything from prisons to transport. Clear Springs, though smaller, is now a major player in asylum housing. For these companies, housing vulnerable people is business, not charity. Their duty is to shareholders, not asylum seekers. This profit motive can mean cutting costs and providing only the bare minimum. Reports have raised serious concerns about conditions and care. The drive for profit clashes with the need for humane support. The system has turned a human need into a commercial opportunity, and the consequences are felt by those with the least power. For taxpayers, the cost of hotel accommodation is measured in billions. For asylum seekers, it's measured in lost time and dignity. Life in an asylum hotel is a cycle of waiting, confined to single rooms, often shared with strangers or squeezed in as families. No kitchens, repetitive, and culturally inappropriate food. No control over daily life. Many describe it as an open prison, days empty, forbidden to work, waiting for news that rarely comes. The toll on mental health is severe. Anxiety, depression, and hopelessness are widespread. Conditions are often poor: damp, mold, infestations, overcrowding. Children's education is disrupted, with little space to play or study. Hotels are often isolated, deepening the sense of disconnection. Beyond hotels, sites like Napier Barracks have become notorious for prison-like conditions. A High Court judge ruled such accommodation inadequate and unlawful. The mindset is clear containment over care. People seeking sanctuary are hidden away, treated as a problem to be managed. The system prioritizes keeping people out of sight, not helping them rebuild their lives. The cost is not just financial, it's human. The question is, how did we move from care to containment? The answer lies in the system's history. The hotel-based privatized system wasn't always the norm. In the 1990s, local councils housed asylum seekers, rooted in public service and community welfare. The 1999 Immigration and Asylum Act changed everything, centralizing responsibility and opening the door to private contractors. The government argued private firms could deliver services more efficiently and cheaply. Large Compass contracts went to G4S, Serco, and Clear Springs, shifting power away from local councils. The system transformed from public welfare to commercial outsourcing. This introduced a profit motive and corporate secrecy, making accountability difficult. Care was distanced from communities and democratic oversight. The move away from public provision was a deliberate policy choice. Outsourcing public services became the trend. The hotel crisis is the direct result of putting private profit at the heart of asylum support. The consequences are now impossible to ignore. The current asylum system creates clear winners and losers. The winners, private companies with multi-billion-pound contracts. The longer the backlog, the more profit they make. The losers, asylum seekers, living in cramped hotels, eating food they didn't choose, their lives on hold. Their mental and physical health suffers, their potential wasted. Taxpayers are also losers, paying up to £8 million a day for hotel accommodation. This is far more expensive than traditional housing, draining public funds that could be used elsewhere. The lack of transparency means we don't know how much profit these companies make or if taxpayers get value for money. The system is inefficient, expensive, and benefits a few at the expense of many. Public money flows to corporate accounts while vulnerable people and the public pay the price. The true cost is hidden, but the impact is clear. The system fails those it's meant to support, and those who fund it. The need for change is urgent. But what do the experts and watchdogs say? Let's look at the verdict. The hotel-based asylum system has been condemned by official bodies and the courts. The Home Affairs Committee called it a disaster for both asylum seekers and taxpayers. Immense cost, poor well-being, no long-term strategy. The National Audit Office highlighted escalating costs and poor value for money, calling hotel use a reactive, not planned, measure. The Home Office failed to secure enough dispersal accommodation, resorting to expensive, last-minute hotel bookings. The courts have ruled the government acted unlawfully, housing people in inadequate, undignified conditions. Charities and refugee groups document poor conditions and mental health impacts. Local communities worry about lack of consultation and the impact on services. The consensus is clear. The system is broken and unsustainable. Watchdogs, charities, and communities all agree. Change is needed. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is, what can be done? There are solutions. The system is broken, but it can be fixed. First, tackle the backlog. Hire and train more caseworkers for faster, high-quality decisions. Speeding up claims would reduce the need for long-term accommodation. End reliance on expensive hotels. Invest in proper dispersal housing. Working with councils and housing associations. This would allow asylum seekers to live in communities, cook for themselves, and lead more normal lives. Re-evaluate the role of private companies, consider non-profit alternatives and give more responsibility to local authorities and charities. Prioritize welfare over profit for better outcomes. Increase transparency, make contracts public, set clear standards, and establish independent monitoring. Now, these are common-sense steps for a fair, effective, and accountable system. The solutions exist. The challenge is political will. The focus must shift from crisis management to long-term reform. The goal, a system that works for everyone. But above all, it must put people first. The asylum crisis is not just logistical or financial, it's moral. The UK once had a proud tradition of offering sanctuary. Now profit has replaced principle. Asylum seekers are not commodities, they are people who deserve dignity and respect. The system should provide safety and support, not business opportunities for outsourcing giants. Moral leadership is needed. Politicians must focus on solutions, not point scoring. Speak with compassion, challenge misinformation, and restore public trust. A humane asylum system is a sign of a confident, compassionate society. Change is possible by investing in the system, ending hotel reliance, and embracing transparency. We can build a fair system for those who need it and those who fund it. The challenge is finding the will and courage to act. The goal: A system where safety, dignity, and humanity are at its heart. The time for change is now. People must come before profit.